Although the government of Israel has agreed to a ceasefire with Hamas, that doesn't change the fact that Israeli authorities are still detaining Palestinians and even reporters in the West Bank and occupied East Jerusalem. So over the weekend, Al Jazeera journalist Gevara Budiri was arrested in East Jerusalem. This next video will show you how.
So this is the footage that we have of Gevara Budiri being beaten and then arrested in the neighborhood of Sheikh Jarrah. She'd been doing live reports on Al Jazeera's Arabic channel throughout the day. Of course, Sheikh Jarrah is that neighborhood in occupied East Jerusalem that's been really a flashpoint of tensions in recent days, weeks, months. There has been tension there over plans to forcibly evict Palestinian families.
Now, after widespread backlash, Budiri was released from detention. Her left hand was fractured when she was arrested while covering a demonstration in the occupied East Jerusalem neighborhood of Sheikh Jarrah, where, by the way, Israeli forces are still trying to evict Palestinians from their homes. Israeli police also destroyed equipment belonging to Al Jazeera cameraman Nabil Mazawi. And obviously the authorities needed to provide a charge or some sort of excuse for why they arrested her. And at first they said that they had arrested her because she had assaulted a female Israeli soldier. But since so many people were filming everything, it was hard for them to essentially lie about that. And so later they changed the charge to arguing that she failed to identify herself as a journalist, which is also a lie because you can see the Al Jazeera mic flag on her mic and her giant protective vest that says press on it. And so, I mean, it is what it is. You know what it is. It's wanting to target journalists who are reporting on the aggression of Israeli forces toward Palestinians living in this occupied territory.
Yeah, there's actually a second component to it too. But first of all, they want to send a message: don't you dare cover this fairly. If you do, you're gonna have troubles and maybe a broken hand. But I actually, and they also, as Anna's about to tell you, they also took away 2 prominent Palestinians in Sheikh Jarrah. So why are they doing all this at the same time? Associated Press actually had a very good article on it. And lately we've been critical of Associated Press for how they handled one of their reporters. But here they did a great job with it. And they didn't put it in as a connection, but they at least put the fact in the article, which lets you go, oh, if you're paying attention, which is the opposition to Netanyahu has formed a government, but they need a vote of confidence from the parliament. And that vote of confidence is imminent. And so what Netanyahu is trying to do with both the Israeli Defense Forces and the police that are especially aligned with him is to go create enough trouble so that there's another uprising and they can't have the vote of confidence because he's desperate to hold on to power. So he's trying to agitate Palestinians in every way to create some sort of mess which allows him to keep power.
Yeah, you're right about that. In fact, there's a pretty good chance that violence will escalate moving forward because there are some signs that I'm at least concerned about. So for instance, as the AP reported, Israeli police on Sunday detained 2 members of a prominent family in the contested Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood of Jerusalem who led protests against attempts by Jewish settlers to evict dozens of Palestinian families from their homes in the area. The arrests of Muna and Mohammed Al-Kurd, 23 years old, came a day after police detained a well-known Al Jazeera reporter, which we just shared with you moments ago. And the Israeli ultra-nationalists are planning on doing this march through the Muslim quarter of Jerusalem's Old City. And that was what was supposed to happen, as the violence, the latest round of violence had escalated, and they decided to not do it because it was gonna make the situation even worse. Now they're planning on doing this, and it's gonna stoke tensions. It could lead to additional violence. I'm worried that it'll be the catalyst for another round of airstrikes and civilian deaths. So that's something to be concerned about. But with that said, I do also want to just quickly show this video of the Al Jazeera journalist after she was released from detention. She talked about the way that they treated her while she was detained. Let's take a quick look at that.
I'm trying to be okay. They broke my hand. I spent all the night in the hospital. My back hurt me a lot. And here, my hand from the cuffs, also they hurt so much because the soldiers in the car were tightening it all the time. I have a headache and my leg, I can't walk very well. And my voice, as you see, it was horrible. Yesterday, especially yesterday, I made 4 lives for Al Jazeera. And I was walking through these soldiers, the same soldiers, more than 25. I was wearing my vest, my press vest. And I was walking, I am going out and coming inside Sheikh Jarrah for more than 20 times. So they know me, they know who I am. In the car, they kicked me a lot more than outside. One of the soldiers, he said that we arrested Gevara al-Budiri, the reporter of the Al Jazeera. If you didn't have my ID, how did you know now?
And they knew that she was a journalist. She's been a reporter since 2000 in Israel. So they were fully aware of who she was, and targeting her was an obvious aggressive play by Israeli forces.
So look, there's 2 components to this. First of all, this is what authoritarian governments do. And if you love Israel, you're an ally of Israel, this is deeply embarrassing. Is this what you wanted Israel to be? This kind of monstrous government that goes around bullying and breaking the hands of reporters and trying to constantly provoke violence in an area that you occupy for decade after decade after decade and never give freedom to. So, but to the main point of this story, look, it's 3 different provocations. It's super obvious what's happening. They go arrest a prominent reporter on purpose to try to anger everyone. Now, how do you know it's a provocation? Because they released her 4 hours later. Right? They go, then they go, they arrest lots of people and unjustly, right? They're going to hit prominent people on purpose. The Al-Kurd family is prominent. They had arrested the son before, again on trumped up charges. We'd covered that before on the show. They go to hit them again because they're prominent to try to get people angry. And they released them shortly thereafter. They're basically A/B testing to see what'll cause violence. So they go, oh my God, there's so much violence. You can't form a government like this. No, we can't have parliament vote out Netanyahu. That would be terrible. We can't do it now. But most importantly is that settler march on Thursday.
Yeah.
They're gonna go into Muslim neighborhoods, and the settlers those particular settlers are extremists to the nth degree. And they're gonna go try to provoke violence, and they'll probably start the violence. That's what they've done in the past. And God help the Palestinians if they ever counter them and not just take all their punches, their violence, and all their demeaning behavior. And we showed you a chant before of them saying Palestinians don't even exist, dehumanizing, etc. So this is Netanyahu doing everything he can to try to get the Palestinians to react. So he can say, you see how violent these Muslims are, these Palestinians, all they understand is violence. You need me, don't do the opposition government, don't have that vote that is gonna end my reign in Israel. That's what this is about. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.